right, welcome back to the IMNerd Podcast, guys. I'm your host, Freyway, and I'm here with my co-host, Kenny.
Yep.
And today we have a special guest with us. We have my friend Chris Lynn, who not only plays Yu-Gi-Oh!, but he's into a lot of other things in the nerd culture and has recently started his very own game, which is, should I call it a board game, Chris?
Yeah, it's more of a board game.
Yes. So Chris has started his very own board game, and I got to test it way back when it was like an alpha, I want to say, maybe a beta, but it was a while ago. It was over a year ago. I got to test it, and I had a lot of fun. I actually won my first game, which was interesting. And yeah, so we're going to talk about that. But because, you know, no one person is just one thing, we're going to talk about anime and video games and Yu-Gi-Oh! And all of those good things. So why not, let's just get started with, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Chris? Give us a little background on, you know, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Journey and just, you know, your other nerd journeys and how you ended up wanting to design and create a board game.
Okay. Well, I guess if it gets me any brownie points with anyone, I'm playing Plunder Patrol right now, and I have been for like 6 or 7 months.
Yes.
And that's kind of like, yeah, I love Plunder Patrol, first of all. And I did want to bring up, I was thinking about how I would answer this question because you said you were going to ask it to me. But it's just, my favorite thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that like, it has this thing where it pulls in, the anime has this thing where every character has like a deck, right? Like, it's like, yeah. I'm Dinosaur Man, like I'm the dinosaur guy.
I'm Rex Raptor.
And like, yeah, I've got dinosaur in my whole character design. And like, somehow at some point the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game figured out how to make that into the actual way the game plays. Where like at your locals you'll have a Speedroid guy and it'll be doing stuff with Speedroids you've never seen before. Yep. Everyone knows he's a Speedroid guy. And like the game has that kind of like character depth to it where you can like do stuff in so many ways. You can like get this identity out of it. And so I've always liked that about Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like why I started playing it in the first place, because I like being able to design stuff and I like being able to find an identity in a situation like that. And like talk to people about like the ways that they played the game and found that stuff too for themselves. So Plunder Patrol is another one of those where I just like to find decks but people don't know about so I can like do things with it that haven't been done before. And in the process I started wanting to design cards. I think at one point I posted on Zodiac a really cringy Yu-Gi-Oh! Card design that like 4 people liked. That was funny. And it just kind of turned into designing enough cards. And then I went to a board game convention to like test it with other people and get feedback. And then I found a publisher through that community. And then it's been like a year of it turning into this. So
yeah, so I want to go back a little bit to one of the things you said that is so real and cool. And I think we have mentioned it a couple of times on this podcast, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Does give you an identity when you're playing it. For example, Kenny is the Monarch guy. Like he's been playing Monarchs since I met him. He always talks about how much he loves Monarchs, and he is the Monarch guy. And that's what he identifies with in Yu-Gi-Oh! I kind of more identify with obviously Gravekeepers, but then other decks too throughout the course of my time playing. And like you said, right now, when I see you at locals, I know that you're playing Plunder because you've been playing it before it was actually really, really as competitive as it is now. Like, I think now it's been topping events and doing well because of the adventure package maybe made it better, but what deck didn't get better, right? So but I do agree with what you're saying. Like they found a way, I never thought about it, but they found a way to turn the show where you had Weevil, an insect guy, right? And then you have all these other people, Rex Raptor, Bandit Keith. They found a way to make those characters who all identify with one specific theme and bring that into real life where you have your X-Saber duelist and you have, you know, somebody who's trying to play Ice Bears, even though that deck was never competitive, but he just wants it to work so fucking bad. And he's really, really angry because we just keep using Trishul and Brionic way better than his deck ever could. And he sits in the back tables and he's like, you fucking meta users. But he loves his Ice Bears and he wished that we would all get off of them and that they all would get an errata that says you can only synchro summon this card with an Ice Barrier monster, but it's never going to happen because Konami loves their fucking money and they keep reprinting generic ass, broken ass cards like Destroy Phoenix Enforcer that has nothing to do with heroes whatsoever. And everyone uses it. Literally all top 32 of the last YCS, which just went down today, April 10th, in Prank Kids with Destroy Phoenix Enforcer 1. And you could say, like, yeah, I identify as a Prank Kids player, but realistically, you're just another Destroy Phoenix Enforcer player in the closet. And then
I mean, I'm playing Enforcer in the Plunder Patrol deck too. Of course you are. Yeah, like what am I gonna freaking do?
The Eldritch player was playing it. The fucking Eldritch guy was playing it, and every Eldritch player I saw on stream today was playing it. I was like, all right, so let me get this straight. This format is literally Destroy Phoenix Enforcer format, and I don't think it's appropriate to call it anything else. Like, sure, there may be a best deck, like Prank Kids may be the best deck. where I knew going into this tournament, like I didn't play, I didn't go or anything, but I knew going into this YCS this weekend that Prank Kids was supposed to be the deck to beat just because it had been topping more than the other decks. But I don't even know if I would look at someone who plays it as necessarily say, oh yeah, you're the Prank Kids guy. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I kind of feel like I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh has gotten a little bit away from the identity unless it's unique. So many people play the same decks, but there was a time when you had the Ice Bearer kid, the Toon kid, and
yeah,
all that stuff. Now it's just kind of like, yeah, you might be the one plunder player, but now you're not even that, right? Like it's a lot. It's a couple of you guys now.
Yeah, there's. I do like that there's more now, but I will say I think they're kind of turning away from that now again. Hopefully, it actually works out that way. Just for like some OCG cards that are coming out soon. There's like a Mist Rune deck coming out that's all quick play spells that banish cards on the top of your opponent's deck randomly for like every card you activate. If you've seen those,
I have, and like, they are not okay.
They're not okay, but I will say when Skyscraper came out, I got really angry and I said I'm not going to play for a little bit until they get like kind of hurt more because this deck makes the format horrifying and I hate playing it. But that deck had an issue where you couldn't ban enough of the cards for them to stop being relevant.
Yes.
Like they were constantly, you could ban so many of them, they're still relevant. The Mist Rune deck, you can ban just the field spell and it undoes everything. It's just gone immediately. So at least they have like a game design out to their own problem that they created. But also...
we can end this at any time.
Yeah. But like a deck where all your cards generically banish top cards of your deck, right? So it's like this time it's really just like everyone's going to play these quick play spells and you're going to be banishing random cards from the top of your opponent's deck. It's harder to play cards like Fusion Destiny because there's always a chance that you just get your dasher banished and you're done, right?
Right.
So it's going to make our deck building different, I hope. It's going to force us to deck build different.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important in Yu-Gi-Oh! Too, as you go throughout the formats. Yu-Gi-Oh's always had its issues. There's no secret about that. There's no surprises with that. I mean, the game, it's very fun. It's one of the funnest games I've ever played, if not the funnest game I've ever played in my life. And almost 20 years later, I'm still playing it. And I found a way to even return to it competitively. As you know, I play Edison format. But, no matter what, deck building constantly evolves. And it's really cool to see that not only with the current format and how it's evolving, but also with something like Edison, where the format wasn't really solved in 2010 when Jeff Jones won I guess that was a Shonen Jump. Yeah, when he won the Shonen Jump championship, it wasn't solved then. And right now we're all kind of working towards maybe solving it. And it's still technically not solved, I would say. It's still very open-ended. But the deck building since I started playing Edison format like two and a half months ago has already changed so much in just a short period of time. Like Kenny and I, we commentated the last Ribbit tournament and we were kind of blown away by the fact that innovation had been so ridiculous for that top 8. There was so, and not even just top 8, right? Like we saw that Carpath deck that was playing the Gear Town and stuff like that. There's so much innovation still and so much deck building going on. And then the cards that people side deck. And I don't know if you remember this, Chris. I don't know how old you are in Yu-Gi-Oh, but transformational side decks too, like that being a thing where your deck.
Yes,
your deck literally goes from one thing to another. There's just a lot to be said about deck building, and that's part of the reason why it's fun to play the game is because you can do so many different things. Have you played any other card games by any chance?
There's a Pokemon regional coming up, and somebody convinced me to try Pokemon, and I really like the current format. There's like a ridiculous amount of searching going on, which kind of makes it like a very it's turned into like complete it's all shady dealings. It's just full on skill based, like everybody get ready. I'm buying it max rarity, so I'm going to show up with max rarity deck that I've begun assembling. So I have like my like hollow water energies and like 4 full art Suicunes. I'm just gonna play that.
What cards? What out of those foil cards? What's really baller to have? Like, is there anything that's like, oh god, this guy has many type of cards?
These water energies, these 6 of them. Oh no.
Yeah,
wait. They're secret rare. They have a Lugia on them, and they're $50 each.
Damn.
I'm playing all 6 of them. They have a crease in the back, so I got them all for 20s.
Okay.
That's where I'm at, but they're not gonna know that.
They're not.
Nice. Yeah, because the crease is covered by the sleeve.
Yep. You can't see it at all. So I'm just gonna be freaking. Oh, I'm so excited.
So you're liking Pokemon right now, and
I am.
I guess I'll ask you a little bit about Pokemon. So before you go into another card game that you might play or have played, so with Pokemon, what do you think? You feel like the format? It sounded like you said it was skillful, right? It's a lot of searching.
Yeah,
and stuff like
it feels that way.
What do you think is the problem with that game right now, though? Are there any problems you feel like with Pokemon?
Honestly, I haven't played enough to know. Right now, it's just fun, and I've got that like perspective of a new player that can't see the problems yet.
Oh, okay.
So when I lose, I'm not going to be able to blame anything, which is even better. I want to stop playing as soon as I start getting angry. That's when I'll stop.
Yeah,
I'm not like invested.
I love that. I love because you know how we get in Yu-Gi-Oh. And you know exactly
Yep.
where it went wrong. Every game,
Mhm.
you know exactly where the game went wrong, and it makes you very angry. And you're like, God damn it! You could have only drawn
Yeah.
brain control right there.
Yep.
And that's what I know exactly what you mean. So that's really funny. So you're right now, you're very young in Pokemon, and you're kind of the wool hasn't been pulled over your eyes yet, or I should say, you haven't been awakened to what's wrong with the game.
Yep.
That's good.
And I never want to find out.
Yeah, and the second you do, you're probably gonna be like, all right, well, sell everything. I'm out of this. What about anything else? Hearthstone, Magic, anything like that?
I only play Battlegrounds on Hearthstone. Magic, I only play Draft. Those are also games I only really dabble in.
Yeah.
Magic, I know enough about to get angry, but I still keep playing it for no reason.
Yeah. I get angry at Magic too. I just can't deal with the land concept. The land concept.
It's just the lands.
It's just lands. I hate it.
It's crazy.
It's such
I think in the new sets they started to introduce more. They finally started to introduce cards that let you subvert lands completely, which I did appreciate. I feel like I saw a bunch of lands that had like spells on the back, and even though
that's the Yu-Gi-Oh.
So so you can play those instead of regular lands, and you can choose one or the other. But then even then, at least like it's worse. It's a worse land and a worse card at the same time, right? So you're still paying for it. I hope one day there's a version of Magic with no lands. I don't think it'll ever happen because everyone in Magic tells me it can't.
Yeah, they don't want to, because fundamentally, right, the people who started playing Magic in '89 when it came out, they don't want to ever change the game that much. Their core fan base is so, I hate to say this, I hate to generalize, but I played Magic for a while, and the core fan base of Magic is just not open to change. They fucking hate change.
They do.
And that's part of, and a lot of them are older too, so you get that very like, just back in my day, you couldn't mulligan, you had to play with what you drew. Mm-hmm. Like, are you mad that I mulligan and went down a card so that I could have a chance to actually play against you? Is that what you're complaining about? And then when they added the rule where after a mulligan you get to scry one, so look at the top card and put it on the top, or keep it on the top or put it on the bottom. People were like, back in my day, if you just drew bad, you just had to draw out of it or lose.
Yeah,
I just don't understand.
It's crazy to me because when you say back in my day in Magic, you're referring to like Moxes, right?
Yes.
You immediately go back. It's like, what do you mean back in my day? Do you want me to activate 4 Mox Stones and then activate a Time Walk and tell you to like freaking go? Like, at least we're dueling. What do you want from this game?
Yeah,
I don't know what you're looking for.
They're looking to not have change. They don't want change.
The thing about Magic the Gathering, though, right, is that the cards always cycle out eventually. So they could just introduce a set where in that set, all of the monsters and all of the spells are also lands.
That would be nuts.
Like the Swamp Thing. I know Swamp Thing is from not, anyway. But Swamp Thing is an earth land, and, he's a monster. And you can tap him as a land, or you can use his monster effect, or you can, do an artifact spell that's
Tell me you've never played Magic without telling me you've never played Magic. This man just said an Earthland. I know some people are triggered.
I didn't want to say anything. I was like, I'm going to let this go smoothly.
There is an Earthland. It's the tree. Tree. That's green.
That's forest.
It's Earth. Forest is Earth. It's the same shit.
My man said Earthland. I was like, oh, they're not going.
It's the green
and you
tree.
Called it Swamp Thing. And there's literally a type of land called Swamp.
Swamp is the black one. I thought you were talking about that. I was like, I'm going to let this fly.
Me too. I was like, oh god. All right, we're going to get canceled. The Magic community just canceled us, by the way, Kenny. So you can pat yourself on the back for that.
Welcome.
That's how I feel.
They'll cancel. I don't want to say it.
All right.
I know. We're not trying to get canceled immediately, right? Not about whole community.
Actually, as a side note, I actually play in quotations. I played Magic before Yu-Gi-Oh! Because my uncle had like a box of Magic cards.
Yeah.
But when I said play, let's once again in quotations, just like how everybody started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And didn't know the rules, I just like played Magic cards and didn't know the rules. There was one card, it had no description on what it did. It was just like lore, the flavor text.
Yeah.
But the flavor text on it said some shit like it's the Eater of Worlds or something like that. And then so to me that meant this is the best card in the game. Like I played this card and it just like eats your whole board. Like I
like your thinking. I do like your thinking. There is a card, Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, and he basically does go around just eating worlds. When I played, that was one of the cards that people a polymorph deck. But I'm not even going to bore y'all with this Magic talk. So Chris. tell us how you began playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Kenny brought up how most people start off without knowing the rules and just doing whatever the hell they wanted to do, and that's how both of us started. But how did you start playing Yu-Gi-Oh? How old were you?
That's also how I started.
Oh, good.
My sister and I used to have I remember when my sister and I first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And she doesn't play anymore. But we thought that gladiator beasts could activate even if they were destroyed by battle. So we were at home sitting on the sitting on the ground over here, crashing gladiator beasts into the deck, triggering them all, thinking this is how it works. How could it not work?
That is broken. Could you imagine if you killed a Laquari and that shit tagged out on you?
Yeah, and it just tagged out, and it was just both of us. We were both doing it, so it didn't really matter. It wasn't until we started going to locals.
Glads were already tier 0 in their own format in 2007. They would have been tier 0 for a very long time. They did what you're saying right now.
But we didn't know how to buy singles either, so we just had cards we pulled out of packs. So we really only each had 3 gladiator beasts total. I remember I had 1 Hoplimus and 1 Laquari and 1.
I used to bust her shit.
Yeah, we just putting cards together, and at some point we started going to locals. I don't remember a lot of the medium. I remember when sneak peeks used to be in hotels and you could deck build. That I remember that.
OG sneak previews were fun. You just reminded me, and that's something that's kind of lost too. Now sneak previews are just at locals, which is fine. I don't mind them being at locals. I'm not one of those people who's reluctant about the fact they used to be in hotels of all things. But they did used to be in hotels, and I think about it now, that's so weird. Going to a sneak preview, so in Philly, the sneak previews were usually at a community college out in Bluebell. That's where you had to go. You had to go all the way out to Bluebell, PA, and there was a community college that had the sneak preview, and you get all your cards, and then you try to trade. No one wanted to get rid of anything. You know how it is. People are still probably like that today. They pull one part of a deck, literally one part of it, and no matter what they actually want to do with their life, they always say, "Nah, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna build a deck." No matter what, no matter what, they have one swap frog, and they're like, "I'm gonna build a deck. I'm gonna build it.
Yeah,
I might build a deck." And I just hate that. I hate it so much. But yeah, sneak previews, they've come a long way. I don't know what they're doing now because of the panorama, but hopefully
the last one I went to, people just bought boxes and went home. It was all right, whatever.
Yeah, but remember when sneak previews were they were really fun? It was
they were so fun. I still get excited and then I get disappointed every time.
Yeah, I used to wake up early for sneak preview Saturdays and just think about the fact that one of the coolest things about sneak previews was, even though the cards weren't legal technically yet, you were allowed to use them in the sneak preview local that day. So if you had packed some new brokenness, you could actually play it in that tournament on that weekend. And then until Konami said the actual official day when the pack was released, then you could play it, usually it was 2 or 3 weeks later, you would be able to play it for real. But I used to love the fact that for that one tournament, you got to test out new shit. And that feeling, it was just really nice. I have the new cards. People don't have it, so I just get to curb stomp them today because I have money and y'all don't.
Oh my God, that reminds me. That you just reminded me. One of the sneak peeks where we were both still playing, I got full power Cliffords really fast by tricking a bunch of people into trades. And then I was playing them against you, and you had a 60 card shadow deck or some nonsense. And you were just I have no outs to this. And then you top deck Super Poly and just had a Shekinaga in your deck. And I was like, what the heck is going on?
That did happen.
You literally said to me, I can't win. Top deck the Super Poly out of a 60 card deck and destroyed me. I was like, all right, I guess I'll just frickin'
100%.
That's it for me.
That sounds like me.
That memory just came out of nowhere. I was like, I remember this suddenly.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to love sneak previews because I always would have whatever the new cards are that I wanted. So whatever, when Dragon Rulers first came out, that first weekend, I had all 3 remember the Dragon Rulers, they were rares and they were kind of hard to get. And I had 3 of each. Then I had my Draco Sacks. I only had 2 Draco Sacks, but that was enough to play the deck at full power.
Yeah.
And then I just had I just think about every sneak preview in the past because of my friends and just having so many of them. A lot of them don't even care about certain decks, the most competitive decks. They're like, I don't give a fuck about that. I don't want to play that. So I'm, I just get them either borrow or just, trade or buy or whatever I had to do. But yeah, now like you said, people just kind of buy boxes and go home, and it's, it's whatever. I know the last 2 years, they weren't even allowed to stay at the store. You had to literally order what you wanted, come pick it up and then leave. But I think now with in real life events coming back, we just had a Shonen Jump a YCS this past weekend, and there was 1,100 people there in North Carolina. So it was
very exciting.
Yeah, it's actually really cool that in real life events are back. I'm really happy about that. I want to travel. I wasn't able to make it out to this event because this is the busiest time of the year for me for work. For my company specifically, we're audited around this time, so it's just more work than I normally ever have for the next 10 months. but these April and May are really March and April are pretty bad for me. But outside of that, I probably will be going to events again real soon. And I'm really hoping, this is a big hope, but I'm really hoping that Konami like decides to do something with these other formats, these Time Wizard formats. I want them to take it seriously. I think there is a market for it. I think that's become very evident and obvious to a lot of players, at least. The community has realized that. I just need the company who actually owns the game or licenses the game to realize it. Yeah, I know. So,
good luck.
Fingers are crossed. I mean, it's already a big start that they allow locals to host real tournaments, right? Like these tournaments we're playing in on Thursday nights. You should come to one, Chris. I know you're not. Well, actually, let me not assume. How do you feel about Edison format? Let's hear it. Let's hear your real opinions on Edison format.
What I said earlier about characters decks didn't start happening yet at that time.
Right.
That's why I don't like it. Right. So at that time, you're still kind of, and that's not a bad thing. You still have an identity with various things. But I honestly just feel like it's too like, I don't know. It's very slow, which is what some people want. But, you know, to go back to what we were talking about with when I started playing, there was a long time where I was like, I didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! At all. And at some point I picked up all the hero cards. I started playing exclusively heroes. And I really started playing when somebody wind up looped me and I said, this is the game I want to play where this can happen. For some reason, that's always what in my heart, I was like, I see. This is what I always wanted.
Chris decided the game was for him when everybody was like, I'm out of this game.
So even like for some reason, every time everyone hates it. Yeah, I love it when everyone hates it. And this is, that was when I was like, I'm playing this game. And you know, I've been doing I've done a lot of FTKs over the years.
I was going to say, you are at our local, I consider you to be, and I literally wrote down, like, in quotations, mad scientist, because you are one of those people that just finds ways to break the game and make it unfair no matter what. Mm-hmm. At random times in my life, I've gotten DMs from you where it's just like, if at any point I draw Insect the Dragonfly, I can FTK you. And I'm like, what the fuck?
The Insector FTK got even nicer somehow recently. I found a way to cut even more bricks from it. So now it's just like, I think it's if you have 2 Dragonflies, 3 Centipedes, 2 Hornets, 2 Ladybugs, they're dead. Like in your deck, if those are in your deck, and you have 1 Dragonfly in your deck. You literally don't use any bricks. All you use are Insector cards, and like I think like 8 extra deck cards.
This is only one of many FTKs that you've told
it's
me
awesome. I love
it's ridiculous.
My favorite FTK I've ever found. And the way this was connected in the first place to what you were asking is that Edison format was before all this stuff started happening. So I don't know that much about back then. I wasn't that interested at the time already. But my favorite FTK I've ever found, there was a format where I bought a Morphing Jar t-shirt to do this empty jar because like I was so excited, and then they banned Snow. Because what you would do is if you had any 2 warriors you could make a sold, you would give them the Morphing Jar with you had to make like that level 9 synchro that's a rock. You would use Summon Sorceress to summon Morphing Jar to their side of the field. Okay. Then you would Snow flip it face down. And there's a weird amount of Link monsters that just flip a monster into face-up defense position. So you just keep doing that. Every 5 cards you draw, you just have to do it again. You summon Snow back with your new cards, and then you just flip it up again. And they can't do anything because it's their Morphing Jar mandatory activating as Chain Link 1. So they just have to let you do it until they deck out. Like you make like a Dweller at some point. You have to like summon Exod, and you have to like Necro face cards back somewhere in there with Chain Summoning. It's a very complicated deck. It takes like 40 minutes to resolve, so they lose game 1 if they let you do it all.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
you are a terrible person.
I was so excited, and they just took it away. I don't think it was actually good, to be fair. But
yeah, of course.
Well, it was so funny.
That's the thing, though. What's funny to me is that you always find these FTKs, and granted, 99% of them are not competitive enough because of consistency problems. But if you do draw these 2 cards at any point. And you just game. Apparently, it's just fucking game.
I'll see you later.
Yeah, it's so bad. It was like, Gishki's like I can Gishki FTK you, and your opponent doesn't realize that you can run the clock out. Mm-hmm. Like I can sit here and do this loop eternally. I can do this, and technically, I'm playing the game, right? Like it's not a perfect loop, because a perfect loop you have to declare like I'm doing it 78 times. I was like, okay. But then some loops are like, well, it changes every time because I don't know what I might draw here, so it's not the same every time. So well,
if you know anything about do you know anything about Sunseeds, or like the fact that Sunseed is a deck? There's like a plant deck called like Sunvine Sunseed.
Nope.
It's about to become more relevant in the next set, but even right now, it has a combo that takes like 25 minutes to do correctly, and it gains 200 life points during it. And somebody did it to me at locals, and like I won game 1. But it took 36 minutes.
That's insane.
And then I was just like, what? Game 2 started, I just scooped immediately. I was like, we're playing game 3. Like, yes. I can't do this. Yeah, you literally FTK'd my game 2. I can't do anything about that.
That's insane. He took your game 2 from you.
Yeah, he won game 1. I won game 1. I was like, but I've already lost game 2. I don't understand. I don't know how he did it, but
and why are you drawn to degenerate shit like that? Why is that? Why did you see a wind up loop and your eyes got big and you were like, I found my place in the world?
Because it's funny. It's cool. Every other card game, it's one of the things for all the identity Yu-Gi-Oh gives you. It's one of the things that Yu-Gi-Oh's identity itself comes from, right? Because it's the only game like that.
Yes, there's
why make Magic again?
There's no other legitimate card game that allows you to win on turn 1 so consistently as Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
I'd even wager. So me and you both watched YCS Charlotte this weekend, and I watched every feature match pretty much, starting from round 4 where I think Shu Ping played. I didn't see the earlier ones because I didn't know what they were streaming. And then somebody in the IMNerd Discord messaged me and was like, "Yo, have you watched any of the stream?" And I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't know." I started watching and Shu Ping was on, and literally outside of his actual round 4 where he was featured, outside of that round, everyone who went first just won every time. This continued for literally so many rounds going in, and then also continuing into top 32, 16, 8, 4, and even in the finals, the guy won a die roll. He won. He went first game 1. Now I don't understand why game 1 took literally 40 minutes.
Yeah, I don't either.
But he ended game 1 with full combo. And I remember at the end of his turn, he had 5 back row, a field spell, the token, the Griffin, destroy Phoenix Enforcer, multiple cards in hand, and a full graveyard, and was just like pass. And it obviously took him a while to get to that point, like probably 7-8 minutes, something like that, 7 to 10 minutes. But his opponent was just kind of sitting there the entire time, honestly looking pissed. I don't know if you saw the guy he was playing, but he looked.
Jerome was pissed. He was not happy.
He looked pissed the entire. He had his fist on his cheek, and just he looked very bored and annoyed. So the whole time I'm saying to my friends, because we were on Discord, I was saying, I wonder why he's not scooping, because I feel like it's just that's full combo, right? Like it's just game. But then 35 minutes later, I'm like, holy shit, this game is still going.
Yeah.
And at one point, it looked like Jerome was in the driver's seat. Like there was a point where I looked away and looked back over, and he was doing well. And I said, oh shit, maybe Eldritch is actually kind of real. But I just don't like how turn 1 is. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, Eldritch is real, right? But it's always been a deck that I hate on principle for the same reasons I just talked about. So like, I don't know. I don't like it. It is obviously good.
It's trying to duel too much though.
Yeah, it's like it's trying to duel too much when other people don't have to. You're the only one that needs to duel. They don't need to duel to play. You actually, yeah, it's not even like they're just that they're trying to duel. They have to duel. The cards that turn the duel into a duel don't have Eldritch on them.
That's true.
Right? So to begin with, you've got these issues in your deck building. I was talking to this is too much of a tangent. No, it's really just that you were talking about people winning going first, right?
Yes.
Steve Gleason and I were in a Discord talking about how to build. I can't even remember what deck anymore. It might have been Branded that we were talking about.
Sure.
But we were thinking about because sometime last year, at some point, it turned into this thing where you could win going second relatively easily, and people were going second like on purpose. The game turned into like going first doesn't mean anything to anybody.
Yep.
And we got so used to that when it finally flipped back around to the original, like literally like multiple years of just you have to go first, that we become desensitized before, we like forgot about it and got used to winning going second again. And now we were just like, how do we solve these going second problems? And we were just like, oh, you can't. You just can't solve the problem. You just lose.
That's actually awful.
Yeah, it was like a very shocking thing. I was like in the car talking to him, and it was just like, but we should go win going second, right? I was like, I think maybe we can't anymore. I think we're past that. It's gone.
There are not many formats where going second was even viable. When they did the rule where you draw 5 going first, because in Edison format, one of the things about it is that you draw 6 going first and you draw 6 going second. So there's no incentive to ever go second. So when someone wins the die roll,
you get to attack.
Anyway, so when someone wins the die roll, fuck that guy. So when someone wins the die roll in Edison format, you just draw your 5 and just wait. Don't even pretend like there's a chance that you might go first, because there's no deck in the format that has incentive to go second, which is one of the problems with the format. It's one of the only bad things I can really say about it. I mean, people complain about it being slow, but that's the thing that most people play it for. But that's not a real complaint. But I think that the issue of there's no incentive to ever go second Edison format. Now, I like what Konami did, where they incentivized us to go second by saying you draw 5 cards when you go first, right? That was a big change to the game. And then I think the first format that really saw people wanting to go second for real was Necros 2014. I think that was when people realized, okay, going first is kind of nice because you could do your Jew, like Manju, and then you could do Valkyris and you can draw and then end your board clean. But at the end of the day, going second just started to be better because of resources. And then you only had 7 mirrors or something like that, 6 mirrors and a preparation of rights. So you actually want your opponent to burn out of all of their ritual spells first. And the best way to do that was to go second. And it's not like you were really that far behind by going second. You weren't really behind at all, technically, going second. I mean, Maxi was in the format. And some people realized, oh, going second is actually kind of nice. So you would play like, damn, going first sucks. But then later on, another format that did that was Spiral. I remember Ryan Levine, I believe, either Ryan Levine or Jesse Cotton. One of them won a YCS in Europe with go second Spiral. And when everyone else was going first and bricking, or going first, setting up a board and having their board broken and then losing the game immediately, they realized, oh, the best thing to do here is to play a ton of hand traps, like a ton, and a ton of cards that break boards, like evenly matched, and go second and let your opponent do whatever they want it. You know, as much as, you know, if you didn't draw hand traps, fine, whatever. My deck is meant to go second. It's meant to break your board, and I'll just win that way. And so it's been successful. Whenever it's a go second format, it's been successful for the people who build a deck to go second properly, and they noticed it first. Like, if you're the first one to realize that the game changed, that's such a cool initiative to have when everyone else is still thinking that it's correct to go first. Because what happens in a tournament is they win a die roll and they choose to go first, which is what you wanted anyway. So it's not revealed to your opponent. We always say it's awkward in a go second format when you build your deck to go second, but no one else knows it yet. And if you win a die roll, you have to be like, you go first. It's so awkward to say that because now your opponent knows you're on some bullshit. Like, they know.
It's a lot of information.
It is a lot of information when you win the die roll and you have to say. So a lot of times we be like, yo, I hope I lose every die roll today.
That's when you gotta be tricky. You gotta go in there and act like a noob. You're gonna be like, man, I really like attacking first.
No, you can't be doing that. First. That's unsportsmanlike conduct. It's too intentional.
I wish I could do that, but literally 90% of my opponents sit down and go, fuck.
Dude, I'll go in there. I'll have a fucking propeller hat on. I've like the multicolored hat with propeller. I'm like, hey guys, you can go first. I'm having a good day today. You go first.
You are ridiculous as a person.
That's crazy. And then evenly matched your Dark Ruler no board. Nice job.
I just look like a complete fool, and then they go set up, and then I blow their board apart, and like, this fucking son of a bitch.
Yep. Yeah. When they see the main deck evenly matched and lightning storms, they're like, oh, okay, I got duped. But it's too late. Like, I already did it. It's been done. You can't do anything about it. But yeah, for the most part, Yu-Gi-Oh is in a go first state. And it looks like now it's also in a go first state because I thought that maybe the Eldritch deck might go second because it might want the extra card. Because I know Sky Striker, a lot of times in the past anyway, Sky Striker was like, I want to go second. Because they needed the 6 card.
Eldritch wants to set 5, man.
Eldritch cards are purple. 5. That's the real problem.
Yeah, so they want to
maybe if they weren't purple.
And whereas Sky Striker are spells, and Sky Striker also does really well going second just because it's kind of a reactive deck anyway. Kind of reacts to the situation. I've always liked it, and it's a shame that I stopped playing a year or two before Sky Striker because I think that would have been one of the decks that I really liked at full power. Yeah, I like I think about every top I've ever had, and it's always with trap decks. I've always topped with like grindy, trap heavy decks. I don't think I have any real tops with something that is super fast and like trying to end the game on turn 1. Outside of like I've topped with Zoo, right? When Zoo first came out, I topped an event with that, and I think I topped with Dragon Rulers, but that doesn't count. I feel like Dragon Rulers just does not count. That shit was
Ruler was grindy, right? That was kind of grindy. Yeah.
It didn't play traps necessarily. Like, I did main deck 2 Emptiness, but those were literally the only traps. But it was a grindy match. It wasn't game turn 1. It was very grindy, and I always do well in those grindy formats. I know I would still probably be, doing well in this format too, just because like people still suck. But I don't think I would enjoy myself when people just go first and they do full combo, and I'm just sitting there hoping to God that I saw Shuping game 3 on stream. He drew it was insane. It was a perfect combination of cards. It was like, I don't know if it was Dark Ruler No More or Forbidden Droplet plus enough Drytron names to play plus like Fusion Destiny. It was a perfect 6. It was so insane, his 6. Like, it was exactly what you need to win going second. It was the exact combination. Like, if the opponent could pick 6 cards they didn't want his opponent to have, it would be those. It would be the 6 that Shuping played. And then Shuping, when they interviewed him after the game, he goes, "Yeah, I got really lucky, like game 3." And then he didn't top. And I think he wrote on Facebook something about, I scrubbed out. I didn't get as lucky as I did in my feature match. Basically, alluding to that type of thing. Yeah, like I didn't draw the perfect combination when I went second, so I got creamed.
Well, that's always been the Drytron specialty. Is like if you really think about it, opening Alpha Zeta isn't that hard mathematically.
No.
But when they do it, it feels crazy. You're always just like, how do they have Alpha Zeta again?
Yep.
Even though like I know in my head that like it's not that crazy.
It's not.
It feels so crazy.
Especially if you played the Magician Shark format. Any 2-card combo that people complain about, I always think about how often you open Magician Shark, and I don't get mad.
Yeah.
I'm Magician Shark so many people. I mean, I went 9-0 at Nationals, Magician Sharking people. So I know it's normal. It's very normal to just go like Magician Shark, full combo, and now you're upset. But it's not as uncommon as you think. So when someone opens up the perfect 2 cards, like for example, I think in the Prank Kids deck, and this probably doesn't count because Prank Kids are so consistent. They only need 1 card to play technically. But when people open up a way to get to the Brave token thing, and they open up a Prank Kid, that's their full combo. Like they just open up any part of the adventure package, and then a Prank Kid, they can do full combo from that, I think. And that is not uncommon considering how many of those cards they play. And if they're not playing 60 cards, it's super. Like the guy who won, I think he played 40 cards. So.
Yeah. I think it comes down to like when you're like deciding if a hand is sacky or not. Because I think a lot of people fall into the trap of like thinking engine cards are luck based. It really comes down to tech choices, right?
It does.
It's the Fusion Destiny in the hand. It's like the droplets in the hand. It's like the card that you're like, I know you can't search it. I know how many you run. That's crazy.
Draw it. Yes.
Yeah.
You drew desires in a situation where you needed to draw desires right there. The 1 desires. It's not searchable technically or by any conventional means, but you drew it, and that's the part that makes it annoying. Like the Mystic Mine, when it wasn't terraforming, or it's just like you just had fucking Mystic Mine at the end of your You tried to play your turn. I stopped you on every time, and then you just went play Mystic Mine, and now I lose because I don't main deck outs. Because who main decks outs to that card? But I think that's changed now because that Griffin Rider,
the equip spell bounces it.
Yeah, it bounces it. Does that bounce every turn or just once?
Every turn while it's equipped to a normal monster specifically.
It will bounce a card.
Yeah, it's just while this card is equipped to a normal monster, once per turn, target a card on the field, return it to the hand.
Wow. That is not okay.
Wild. Some people are running 2. It makes sense to run 2, honestly.
Does it really?
Like,
the math checks
It kind
out?
of does. It's almost worth it. The math does not check out, which is why we don't do it. But it's almost
does not check out.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to do this. But to some degree, it's like, I want to I want to run that.
I love the honesty.
So bad.
I love the honesty, Chris.
I want it. I want it in my deck.
So what drew you to Plunders? Because like again, you were playing this deck 7 months ago before it even got the adventure package, and it's probably a lot better now. You were running it when I remember you told me when it goes second, it just kind of blows the opponent because it does so much when it goes second. But why were you playing it back then when I think Tri-Brigade might have been the best, or like Drytron was at full power? Why were you playing it then?
I honestly have like no idea. It's very goofy. I don't know why. Something drew me to it because it was goofy. I tried it on Duel Book. I was like, this deck's actually crazy. Yeah. First of all, it's pirates. Yes. The deck has a very good it's weird. You can like normal summon. So when I normal summon Whitebeard and pass, I call that full combo. That's what I refer to as full combo. Hold on,
pause. I knew it was Goofy Pirates. Did you say they have a card called Whitebeard?
Yeah, every one of them has a different colored beard, and that's the name of the card.
Does Whitebeard look like One Piece's Whitebeard at all?
I don't know anything about One Piece, but I'll pull out a Whitebeard right now for you to look at. Yeah, it just comes down to like
in One Piece, Whitebeard doesn't actually have a beard at all. He has a mustache. So I'm wondering about these Prank Kids.
I don't know. You can barely see his face. There's Whitebeard. That's Whitebeard.
Okay.
He looks cool. He's like a goblin. Are they all goblins?
They're all goblins, right? Yeah, they're all fiend type monsters. He is goofy though. I don't know. So for some reason I was like in a mid-range mood, and I've just been in one this whole time. And I think part of it was like
I want to do a quick side note for Fraser, and then I want you to finish your thing, and then I have a question for something you just said. First, interesting thing about the reason why his name's Whitebeard Fraser is they don't have a word to separate mustache and beard in Japanese.
Oh, I know.
Facial hair is just facial hair.
I remember this from like 8 years ago when I first found out about Whitebeard. There's a reason for why they call him like Whitebeard, and it's not.
Yeah. So if anybody's wanting, just like I think it's the word hige. It just means like facial hair in Japanese. But anyway,
okay.
Chris, you finish what you were saying, and then I have a question about a word you used. But finish what you were saying.
Before I quit for Sky Strikers, there was a period of time where I was going to locals, and I said I'm not going to play a card more than $5. If you show me a screenshot of my card on TCG Player over $5, I will take it out of my deck on the spot.
Wow.
And because of that restriction, I was playing FA Metal Foe, and I was like topping like every local. It was very cool. But like during that time period, I like got more interested in playing not an FTK, right? And then so when I came back afterwards, I was like still kind of in that like mindset. Also, I checked and they banned every FTK. They did a real good job getting rid of them. There's more again, but like I was just like, there's nothing. I can't find anything that's not awful.
Yeah.
And I think I'd like beyond playing something awful just because I wanted to play an FTK. There wasn't one that was good enough, so I didn't play one, and it turned into this.
Okay. And mid-range, what does that word mean?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Me and Fraser talked about it before, and I was like, I think I know what mid-range means, and I explained to him what I thought it meant, but the fact that you brought it up, you can probably explain it a lot better.
Well, I just think the way because I feel like it's like too broad of a word to have a good definition, but in my mind, there's early game decks and late game decks. And early game decks are obviously in the Yu-Gi-Oh context, like as early as possible, just kill them, right?
Yeah.
And then late game decks are ones that like almost don't have a win condition, and they win as late as you humanly could win, whether it's by like decking them out or just like.
So in Edison format, that would be quick draw Dandy Warrior because it just grinds you out of cards.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
it doesn't really have a win condition because even Drill Warrior is not enough to be like, oh, that's game because you resolve Drill Warrior. That's not game. Not even close to being game actually. So what it really is, the deck really does to you is in the late game, which it tries to get there by dandelion tokens, it just stalls you to fuck out. In the late game, it starts resolving Pot of Avarices over and over. And it just grinds you out of resources to the point where they end up with like +4 or 5 on you, and you're borderline top decking, if not actually top decking. And so it wins at the latest point possible. Whereas some decks are super fast, like Dragons or Nolaris, whereas like Phantom of Chaos, send my whole deck to the grave. We both have no cards we're top decking, but I'm +1 on you, and I summon 2 big ass red eyes. So you just lose.
I want to win today.
Yeah. Mid-range decks, it seems like because of the way card games are modern designed, like in general, like modern card game design, mid-range decks seem to take advantage of the way cards are designed in general. Because like they hit this weird point where you're like consistent enough to always open well. Even if you don't open well, you can kind of find your ground in like 1 or 2 turns. And then once you find your ground, you actually do get to a win condition relatively.
It sounds like Sky Striker.
Yeah. So Sky Striker's crazy, right? Because it has OTKs for no reason.
Yeah.
You're not looking to eventually win the game. You're looking to just get a wide enough opening once.
Yes.
And then just
because the way Sky Striker works, and historically, if I remember correctly, was the first turn is like a setup turn, right? Those for, granted, Yu-Gi-Oh, when you say mid-range now, Yu-Gi-Oh means that you're going to play turn 2 and not kill me still. That's mid-range, and you like if it takes you 3 turns to win the game, then you're playing mid-range at that point. If you don't win on turn 2, then you are absolutely playing mid-range. So Sky Striker turn 1 is like set up, get my 3 spells in grave. Next turn, start to resolve a bunch of engages, and that will they do way too much when you have 3 spells in grave. And then turn 3, your third turn anyway, is where you probably kill them because you just have so many resources and you have the multi-roll, you reset all your Widow Anchors, and then the game's over.
I can't believe Engage isn't a once per turn.
Nope.
Like I can't believe you can resolve that card more than once in a turn.
It's one of the only cards in recent Yu-Gi-Oh that has no restriction.
That Mist Rune deck that's coming out has a card like that. When you read it, and I'm not going to tell you what it does now, whenever you get around to reading that card, you'll say, I can't believe that's not once per turn. And it's better than Engage.
Is it the field spell?
It's the field spell. The field spell says draw 3, and it's not once per turn.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think if you open Charge of the Light Brigade and like 2 quick play spells, you can draw 3 7 times.
So 21 cards.
Yeah. You can draw 21 cards. It requires like very specific mills, but it's. I mean, when you draw bad, you draw 3 like 6 times. Or like 4 times or something. It's still not right. It's still not reasonable to do that. It's not like it's right. Better because I only drew 12. Oh no! Like what am I gonna freaking?
It's like when you super drew twice and Dragon 4 bad. You're like, damn it, I want the third one. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's like you drew 4 2 times. Like you drew 8 cards on the end phase. You got a new hand. I don't even know what new hand you got.
God, super rejuvenation.
Yeah,
no time to be alive.
Card is unplayable now. It's just crazy, and it was weird because there are decks in Edison format that try to play Super Juve, but even in Edison format, I'm not too enthusiastic about it. It's just like, what are you drawing to? Like, what's the goal here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what is the goal? So that's kind of one of the conundrums there. But all right, let's pivot a little bit. We did bring you here to talk about your actual game that you created yourself, which is I think it's so cool. You've been working on this for years, and I think that the panini that we're currently in has kind of slowed things down a little bit, just naturally, right? Because it did with everything else in the world. Everything has slowed down from the panorama. So, but now you finally have, this art behind this, if you're on Patreon, guys, looking at this, it looks amazing. Like the game is called React, right?
with a semicolon for the weebs.
Yes, I started watching that anime ReZero during 2020 maybe. I think I've watched my first couple episodes of it and I liked it, but I noticed that the way your game is written and the way, React and ReZero is kind of similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is
There's
that
more
about?
than one anime with that in. There's more than one anime.
Okay,
like that.
So
it's like robotics
also,
notes and
there's also fucking Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts Rebirth,
all kinds of shit.
Gate.
What
There's
is that?
so many.
Is that a Japanese?
I don't know.
Thing?
I don't know. I think it is. It is a Japanese thing.
It is
sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we were trying to come up with a new name, the reason we ended up on this is because it kind of like shows there's only two kinds of effects in the game. They're normal spells and quick play spells, but you can play the quick play spells out of your hand on your opponent's turn. It's because we were considering calling the normal spells acts and the quick play spells reacts. And we're like, that's a cool like naming convention to go with.
I like that.
Yeah, we didn't stick to it in the end for whatever reason, but that's where the name kind of came from. And also, we're like pandering to weebs, like we are. You can just look at the characters, you can tell.
They look so
cool,
by the way.
They're so cool. Oh my god, I couldn't believe it. I didn't know what we were getting when I met my publisher, but like he said he had to take the artist out to dinner to convince him to take the contract on this one. But it was crazy getting him.
Yeah, and he did a really fucking whoever did the artwork for this did a kick-ass job. These cards look they just look so fucking anime. Like they just look so anime.
I like the art a lot. It looks dope.
It's a Wicked Alucard.
This girl's got like a fucking paintbrush. She's about to beat somebody's ass with a paintbrush.
Wicked Alucard, you said?
Yeah, Wicked Alucard.
So, go ahead.
But yeah, so
walk us through walk us through the premise of the game. Like, I guess before we get into the actual game itself, how did it fully come to be? You said something about normal spells and quick play spells, and I know it's like a grid. It's a board game, so it's on a grid.
Yeah, it kind of started with Yu-Gi-Oh. I think I mentioned to you at some point that Tiamaton's one of my favorite cards in Yu-Gi-Oh. That's part one.
What does it do?
There's this Tiamaton. Oh, Tiamaton is if there are 3 cards in the same column at any time, anywhere, you can special summon it from your hand as a quick effect.
I love that card.
Yeah.
Iron Dragon?
Iron Dragon Tiamaton.
Yeah,
you can summon it to any zone. Yeah. And when it's summoned, it destroys everything in its column. And then neither player can activate cards in that column for the
Hold on one second, Chris. I just think it's so ridiculous that Kenny literally last week was telling me, I'd never seen this card before in my life. And Kenny showed it to me last week. And was like, I love this card. And I read it and I was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get.
Right, exactly.
I was like, I don't get why you like it. I don't get why this will ever be played. I was so confused. And I even said, I was like, I'm sure that it does something, but I just don't see it. Cause I just have such a narrow, I'm so competitive, guys. You both of y'all know how I am. Like, both you guys know me for at least 10 years by now. You know how I am. I'm extremely competitive. So if it's not played in like the absolute top of the top decks, I just don't have any kind of time for it. I probably don't even know it. Yep. And if I also, obviously, I do want to know what other people are playing, but if other people aren't even playing it, then I also don't really know it. So when he showed him, I was like, I don't really get it. But
that's what's funny is last week, Fraser's never even heard of this card.
Yes.
And I bring it up to him, and I don't know.
And now you're telling me this game is literally based
because of Tiamaton. This game exists. Yes. It's that card. Sick. So Yu-Gi-Oh has this, there's a concept in card games of immersion, right? Every game is about how immersed you get into the game. And Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic do a good job of using time to immerse you in the game by making it so that when your opponent does things, you're thinking about how can I respond to this, right?
Yes.
So you're it's like active time battle stuff. You're always thinking about the game that you're playing. Yu-Gi-Oh also has this physicality to it that other games don't necessarily have because like cards don't always do what you would think they would do in a real game. So like Dark Hole does what you would think it would do. Bottomless does what you think it should do. But then like there's cards like freaking like Pot of Avarice, which is like, what is that? Like, what am I doing? I don't freaking know. Yeah, there's just cards that are they're just cards. They're designed for just the strategy of the game. Tiamaton is one of the most physically immersive cards that there is because it literally does. It's like a literal dragon on the field. Its targets are where it is. Like it does so much stuff that's based on like it as a physical object.
Yeah.
And it was like true. Because of how much it's because of how much I enjoyed that I started making this game more like that. Because this game really is just Yu-Gi-Oh with a physical grid instead of Yu-Gi-Oh on each of us has our own field. There's just one field.
So I think you liken it to Dungeon Dice Monsters, right?
Yeah. It's like a strategy RPG with quick effects in it.
I'm already loving this game.
Yeah,
I'm already loving this game.
So I think
go ahead.
Oh no, you can.
I was going to say, I just love strategy RPGs. There's a game that maybe you've heard of, but it's kind of like a board game card. It is a card game, but sort of a board game. It's called Pixel Tactics.
Oh.
And it sounds, I don't know, but it has like a strategy RPG element to it. And I really like that game. And so everything you're describing about your game sounds like I would fucking fall in love with it. So
yeah, I hope you do, obviously, but it's it really is. It's I think the biggest thing that I say up front is that all the targeting in the game, rather than targeting cards or summons on the field, every card effect that only targets a zone. Because there's a chain link system that's it's this exact same as Yu-Gi-Oh! It's first and last out. If you have a card that says like deal 1 damage to a zone and it will target the zone. So then if you chain a move effect to that, where you like move to the space next to you, it will dodge it, right? Because targets don't follow standees, they follow zones. So that's like kind of like the biggest mechanic in the entire game. It's just that like it really is just like stacking up these effects in time and then letting them resolve on like a physical space. So you can actually dodge stuff. You can do like tricky stuff where you like start an attack and then move to like change where your attack is going to hit, because there's stuff that's like hit everything next to your standee. If you like change a move effect on that, it'll move before it does the damage. So there's a lot of little stuff like that I think does a good job of because like a lot of board games try to make these complicated mechanics that I found over time, and they like do it in really like convoluted ways. This game is similarly convoluted, but it leans heavily on just we know what it's like to be a person, right? You know like what's next to you in real life.
Yeah.
And it kind of uses that to its advantage of like, yeah, like this standee's going to hit what's next to it, and you can internalize that easily because that's, you know what that is.
So back up for a second. What's the grid? It's what by what?
Oh, it's 6x5 now. It's 6x5. It's 6 away towards you. You basically start with an opening hand of 5. You have a leader, like a game master, entrant, whatever it is.
Right. So you get to pick from these characters. How many characters are there?
There's 8. They're all very different. They're all designed to be like completely different games. I think in the original version of this game, I was trying to make them like wildly different. They still are, but they're all kind of game characters now. Before I was trying to like steal games. I'm still kind of doing that a little bit, to the point where it's like, yeah, I can make checkers. Like I could just remake checkers on this entrant. Because every character has their own like rule set a little bit. So there's a guy, the character that you played, is based on all her cards do this thing where when you play them, they place a token on any standee you want, and then resolves on every standee that has a token on it. So each card you play has a progressively larger area of effect than the last one.
So it becomes a progressive problem over time.
Yeah, it becomes like a progressive problem. It's very like control-y. Whereas there's another character that is a dancer. I think the one that you played, that token area effect guy, is the one on the front of the box in the middle. She's like the quote-unquote main character. And she's only the main character because she's the sexiest one, I will say. That's the
girl with the black hair, the black and blue hair with the paintbrush?
Yeah.
That is a paintbrush, right?
Yes, it's a paintbrush and a katana.
Oh my god. She's sick. She's fuck.
Yeah, she summons like these little calligraphy brushes that could move around the field. And she's very cool mechanics. Fraser found an OTK. I remember when we played, there was a moment where he stopped talking for like 20 minutes, and I was just like, I don't know if he's having fun. And then after the 20 minutes were up, he was like, I got it. And then he killed me immediately. I was like, whoa.
What's so cool, that was my first time ever playing. I've never played the game before. I'm playing against the game's creator, for God's sakes. And I just went in a straight up King of Games mode. Like he was like, because the game, we literally played a game that was an hour and a half. My first game ever playing it was an hour and a half long, if not longer. It was long as fuck. And because I literally I like to sit down and just think. Cerebral, I'm very cerebral. I like to just sit and think out my moves. No clock, just think. And it was so fun. And Chris was being so elusive because I think you were playing the water dancer thing or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
And that character can move like a quick effect kind of. Like it just moves a lot, and it's very elusive. So it was really hard to line up my shit the way I wanted it. But I saw what the game was, and I was chasing him around, and it was so fun. I actually had a lot of fun playing it. Like I think at some point, I know you have a whole rollout that you're going to do, but get something on YouTube where people can visually watch like a tutorial or something, right? Like, so we can see, because it's I think especially, they say this all the time, but men are visual creatures. People at my job, at least the old people at my job, they say that shit all the time. They're like, oh, you like, they just tell me, I don't know if it's true or not, but I do feel like I learn by seeing often. But you said it's 6x5 grid. You have 8 different characters that you can play as. So what's going to happen is, because they're so unique, they're going to all feel like, oh, I played this, like I played a painter, or I played a dancer, or what are some of the other ones that people can choose from that are unique?
So, and I will say these all have they're designed to play a certain way, but you can play them in other ways, right? So there's that element that I like about Yu-Gi-Oh, which is why I brought that up earlier, because they're designed to let you find new ways to play them if you want to. But there's a calligrapher, which does what I said. There's the dancer, whenever he moves, he'll leave tokens behind in zones that he passed through. And when he passes through a zone, I think this changed from the last time we played. When he passes through a zone for the third time, he makes a fish there or he deals 1 damage there. His cards let him move like a lot. He has like a card that just says move to any zone in your column or row. So just like jump the whole field if you want to.
Damn. And he will leave a bunch of tokens when he does that, right?
Yeah, he'll leave a bunch of tokens behind.
You gotta see, Kenny, you gotta see how cool it looks. Because think about this guy who's like a water magician type of thing. And when he moves, he fucking leaves all this water behind, like these water spirits behind. That's how I'd always think of him. It's just so cool.
Yeah. It's very cool. We've got the sculptor, which is a pure StarCraft character. He summons these little clay tokens that move around the field, and you end up with like 30 of them moving around in groups. You can like move them around, and then they'll eventually like you'll take over a zone and make like a little barracks there that will spawn more of them. And then you have a spell that just blows them all up, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So what's the win condition? How do you win the game? How do you win?
Entrants have 3 life. Yeah, so if you deal 3 life to your opponent's entrant, they will die.
How do you deal damage?
Some effects just deal damage. There's no like, you know how in Yu-Gi-Oh there's like all monsters can attack, right? At least.
Right.
This game doesn't have that. Permanents just have effects, and your spells have effects. So there's no natural movement ability, or there's no natural attacking ability. Some stuff just deals damage, and every character does damage in different ways.
So you'll have things on the board, but just because they're on their board, that doesn't mean they can do something every turn. You have to play a card to make that thing do something.
Oh no, they do have those effects, but they're all different. Yeah, they're all like based on their own mechanics. Like the calligrapher doesn't have an effect to just move. Her 2 effects are to either put an ink token on everything on the board, or summon one of her brushes. So those are her 2 effects. Those have also changed since I played Frazier.
And they're once per turn. You can only use.
Yeah, they're each once per turn. You pick one or the other.
Yes. So every time you can either create a brush, or you can put a ink token
on everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're kind of like based on their mechanics, as opposed to just saying like this can attack.
But there was some broken ass. So this is also a card game, right? So there's a card aspect to it, right? I remember there was some broken ass card that my character had. I forget what it was.
Yeah, so that's the one that got nerfed a little bit.
Okay.
So first of all, I don't know which one you're talking about. There's a couple that are broken in every kit, but she does have an avarice. She has a remove 3 tokens from the board to draw 2.
I remember that, but I definitely drew a lot more than 2.
Yes, because you did it multiple times. That card now ends your turn when you activate it.
Okay. When I did it, there was a thing that for every token I removed, I think I drew a card or something like that.
It was something like that.
So I would stack I would basically create a bunch of things, put a token on all of them. And this takes a lot of setup too, because you only do one of those things per time. So like I make a bunch of brushes or whatever, put a bunch of ink tokens on them, and then I'd be like, remove 5 ink tokens, draw 5, like that type of thing.
Yeah, it was something like that.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. And as you were doing it, I was like, I don't know how we weren't doing this. It was literally our game was literally me saying, I can't believe we were not doing this. We're like, no, none of that.
I started breaking the game immediately.
Which is nice. I mean, that's kind of what we wanted.
Yeah,
it's been broken a couple times. It just keeps getting broken and getting fixed.
That's fun though. That's really fun.
There's no FTKs, I hope.
So tell me this. Mm-hmm. Tell me this. So no FTKs, that's good, because coming from you, that's always my favorite.
Yeah.
I assume that there would just be, but I'm glad there aren't, because FTKs technically are not really fun except for the person who's doing it. Anyway, What I was going to ask you is, how does the deck aspect of it work? They're just given to you, right? Like you don't construct. You do not construct your own deck.
No,
you kind of pick. I guess if me and Kenny were to play, right? We both sit down, we choose which character out of the 8 we want to be, and we're just given a deck of cards, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same no matter who plays it. You know, Sean McCabe could be playing it, Steve Silverman could be playing it, Tom Mack. It doesn't matter. If you pick that character, this is the deck that you have, and that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. And each one only has 4 different cards in it, so it's not like 3 of something. It's like 8 of 1, 8 of 1, 8 of 1, 6 of 1. The decks are 30 now. So the standard layout is 8, 8, 8, 6. The personality freedom kind of comes from the fact that the cards are kind of, rather than like saying exactly what they do, they kind of just give you some options, right? So the calligrapher has a card that is a reaction, so it's a hand trap. It puts an ink token on something and then moves everything that's been inked 1 space in any direction. So anything that has an ink token on it just moved one space to the left. There is a bunch of ways to use that card. You can use it to approach them.
That was the other one that was broken, Chris. That shit was so nutty.
That card is bonkers.
Go ahead.
And it'll always be bonkers. And it kind of like, because it's offensive and defensive at the same time.
Yes, that was what made it so broken, is that I could use it defensively and obviously offensively. It was too much.
Mm-hmm. And like we get a lot of in the playtesting, there's always like, there's a couple ways to play every hand. You could literally just choose to hide forever and then eventually win. You can choose to attack immediately. We've tested her. She has like a maximum output on turn of like 2 damage to your opponent immediately if they have no hand traps. And it's just like, if you want to play it that way, you can, right? We can't say if it's right or wrong because we're just 2 people. We've got like 2 or 3 people testing it.
So moving a square, you can only move like north, south, east, west, right? You can't move northeast as one movement.
It depends, right? So,
okay. So
it depends on if a card just says you can.
Yeah. But in general, if something says like move 1 square, it's just north, south, east, or west.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. The game is really it's really fun. And you said like the cards that you play in a deck. So everyone has a 30 card deck, and there's 4 different cards in every deck. So every deck is literally just 4 cards, but then there's 8 copies of 3 of them, so 24, and then there's 6 copies of one. I assume the 6 copies are just going to be the card that's probably the most broken.
Yeah.
But
usually it's like that, or the one that you can brick on the easiest, kind of.
Okay, so the one, I guess that makes sense too. Probably the late game card. You don't want it early anyway. And you draw 5?
You open with 5, you draw 1 at the start of every turn now. So now you're drawing 2 cards per rotation. But the opponent does not draw.
So you draw a card on your opponent's turn too.
Yeah, at the start of every turn, both players draw, except on turn 1 where the opponent, the person going first, doesn't draw.
Got it.
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
Can you deck out?
Yes, you can deck out, but we've somehow not had an issue with it.
Okay.
There is a point in this game where if you want to kill them, you can, right? Or if you try and fail, they will kill you.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of self-balancing.
I remember having to make myself vulnerable sometimes if I wanted to do damage, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I want to deal, because you only have 3 life, right? You have 3 life, so it's a hit you 3 times and win game. But then some situations you'd be like, well, I could attack you right now and I'll deal damage to you, but then you could attack me back, and you have to really think if that's worth it.
Yeah, because when it becomes clear at one point like what your opponent's attack range is, and it's like every turn they're approaching you, they can't attack and approach you at the same time. So like every turn they're using their turn to get closer to you. Do I want to just put myself closer to them, and then next turn they can just attack, right? Because you put yourself in their range for them.
Yeah.
But then you have to put yourself in their range. You have to put them in your range eventually too. So there's a push and pull in there. We did play these 2 characters, the dancer and the calligrapher, have always been the 2 that are the most adherent to the game's mechanics itself. I think something I care about is that there's not too much of that, because it feels like Magic, more than anything else, there's only like 3 mechanics in Magic, right? Total. Like in general, everything's one of those 3 things. You're either like removing things or attacking or like buffing. And like there's like life gain and there's like drawing cards and scrying, but they're all like net 0 the same mechanic in the end. Like if you go plus 1 or you go minus 1, those are really the same thing mathematically. And there's flavor to them, but not that much. Because we have like a physical grid, we're allowed to come up with more weird flavor. And we mess with the rules a lot. There's the tattooist, which when she starts the game, she has 3 rabbits on the field. Those rabbits are her life instead of herself. Every time she takes damage, she just falls off the board. And then at the beginning of the turn, she comes back, and she doesn't lose until her 3 rabbits die instead. So her kit's super weird because of that.
Super weird. Yeah, she plays completely different. So the other 7 avatars that you can choose from, they have to be attacked, like on the board. Right. Like
yes. The other 7.
Damage has to be dealt to them directly to win the game. But this one, you're talking about the tattoo artist. You have to kill these 3 rabbits. You said, like an actual bunny rabbit.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So she has 3 rabbit summons that just start the game on the board, and they're her life instead of herself.
And they move. I'm assuming they move around and do all kinds of shit.
Yeah. They move around. Basically, all of her spells. When you play them, you can tattoo them, and you tattoo them by having her deal 1 damage to herself. So she's like hurting herself to apply a tattoo to herself. The tattoo goes onto one of the rabbits, and now every turn the rabbit can use that card again. So her 3 rabbits end up each having a card on them that they're repeating every turn.
Oh wow!
And
that's so dope.
Yeah, it's very cool. And then she has like an effect that moves them all. She like jumps over the rabbits, like jump over each other. She has a card that like swaps her with one of her rabbits. So like when you attack the rabbit, she's the decoy for it, and then she dies instead, but it means nothing. So like it's pretty
cool. Like a convolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
she's
go ahead. Needless to say, Kenny and I are going to buy and play this game. Like there's
Hunter. Now, I'm not fucking Chris Brown, so I'm not going to be able to market it to the world. But from what I'm hearing, I haven't played it myself. But from what I'm hearing, it sounds like a game that I would really, really love to play and dive into.
Love this.
So this is a game that, let's say I never met you, but if it showed up, if I saw it on Kickstarter or something, it's a game where I would message Fraser and message my friend Medina and be like, yo, guys, this game looks sick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, I do see myself buying this and playing it, telling people about it, because I do have, I do know a decent amount of people, but I want to talk to, because it sounds like a game I would really have a lot of fun with. I like the art. I like the concept. Strategy RPGs are like some of my favorite games. So I'm pretty damn excited. I like the way it sounds.
And I had a lot of fun. I like that. I could imagine me and Kenny literally at my apartment just playing this game at my dining room table, like when we play DC and stuff like that, or like, other games, other board games, other card games. I could imagine us literally playing until like 3 or 4 a.m., just going back and forth. Because it takes, for me anyway, it takes a while to just think on my moves, because it is rather chess-like. You're playing on a grid and you can move and stuff like that. So there's a lot of thinking. And then the card game aspect of it, like, I love shuffle. Everyone plays Yu-Gi-Oh! You love shuffling your hand, looking at your cards. Is there a limit to how many cards you can play in a turn?
No. I will say the hand traps have to be Chainlink 2 or higher. So that's the main thing. Right. It's basically all normal spells are Chainlink 1 only.
Reacts have to be Chainlink 2 or higher.
Yeah.
Are they called reacts? Am I saying that right?
They're called reactions, yeah.
Reactions.
The reacts, whatever. I none of us are stuck to it too much.
Okay, I love the name of the game being React, and I love the name of the like spell speed 2 or higher cards being called like reactions, basically.
Mm-hmm. I think I've been sending you art. If you want to show it, you can. I've been sending you art every once in a while, I think.
Yeah,
I haven't sent you all of it. I can send it to you again right now.
Yeah, go ahead. Start sending me. You can start sending me stuff because I'm sure I have, but I don't have to scroll up a lot because we talk a lot when we do talk.
Yeah. I can send you. You know what? I'll just send you the
Send it in the group chat.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. I'll just send the whole kit because we have all the art for it now. The character that you played, and also the dancer. I guess I'll send you both of those.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's see. Where's the assets folder? And these are almost the final card design, but we're not 100% sure on that. Some of the graphic design might get messed with.
So I think what I'll do, because this is such a visual thing, right? We're about to show some art. I think when I upload this video on YouTube, I'll actually put the video up of this one. Like this. Okay. This won't be, because usually what we do is Patreon gets the video versions of the podcast. But in this unique case where like we're literally basically demoing a game in a way, I think it makes more sense for us to actually show it on YouTube, just completely. But yeah, the calligrapher. So
that's her like reference sheet that says what she does.
So when you buy this game, right, like you'll be able to read what she does. And I guess, so Chris, I'll let you read it out, like what she actually does, because she has like 3 things going on.
Yeah, so she starts the game with the Seal Brush Spirit in an adjacent zone. So when the game starts, she summons one immediately.
Where's it? You can put it. Is that the passive?
At the beginning of the passive.
Okay, yeah.
So since there's 3, you start in the middle zone of the first row closest to you. Like there's like 5 zones because it's 6x5, and the 6 is the long way between you.
Okay.
You start with your character in the middle on your side, and so there's 3 zones you're allowed to put the Seal Brush in. That depends on the matchup where you want to put it. You can make that choice immediately.
Damn, so the game starts off with you making the decision.
Yeah, with her especially. A standee is considered inked while there is an ink token in its zone. So that's the ink token thing. All the effects just say like move every inked standee 1 space. And ink tokens move together with and are removed together with a standee in its zone. I'm not even sure if that line's still on there. That one's just kind of because right now there's no differentiation between tokens that stay in a zone and that don't follow standees and tokens that do follow them when they move around.
Right.
Ink tokens just follow things. It's basically on the character, not on the zone. And that's it. I mean, that's all there is to her.
All right.
As far as her passives.
Now I'm going to put up this card. So this is one of the cards in the deck. I'm summoning Ink Lishu.
Yeah. This one inks any standee, and then you can summon a Seal Brush. You can summon one of your summons next to any of your standees that have an ink token on them. So like if you have like a brush out in the far area that's like far away from you that has an ink token on it, you can summon next to that one too.
Is there a limit to how many you can have?
Standee is your character, right?
Yeah, a standee is just any summon. So it's like the little figure on the board. So it includes your summons. Yeah, it's like the word permanent, but I think we're not allowed to use the word permanent, I think. So it just comes down to...
You are definitely not allowed to use the word permanent.
Yeah. You'll also see the word exhaust and refresh in her kit. Exhaust is tapping, refresh is untapping. As everyone knows, we can't use those words either. But that's what it is. And for tapping, we just have turning your standee sideways. Hopefully that works out. We're still trying to think of something better, maybe, but it's passable for now. Okay. This is the one that moves them all one.
And what does it say? So ink a standee, so it inks something too.
Yeah, every one of them starts with inking something.
Oh wow.
Yeah, everyone.
And then
her whole play style. Okay.
In any order, each ink standee moves one zone in a chosen direction if able. So you have to choose one direction, but they all move in that same direction, right?
Yeah, you choose the direction at cost, and then you pay cost. The thing in the orange text box up above that says just choose a direction, that capital text up there is always the cost. Same as in Yu-Gi-Oh, you do that when you declare the effect, and your opponent knows what direction you chose when they're responding to it.
Gotcha. So they know, okay, you're going to move everybody this way, and then they can...
Yeah, but they don't know which one you're inking. So... Yeah. They don't for sure know everything you're going to move. Only the inked ones move. So
and then aligning ink Kaishu. So what is this one? So obviously it inks, like you said, all of them start off with that.
Yep. So you start by targeting a zone. The zone that you target, you can remove 2 inks from there and tap the thing in there, or you can remove 3 and untap it. So this is one of the ones that has like dual purpose, right? You can tap their stuff, you can untap your stuff. There's times where you want to do the reverse to the other one. This card's kind of weird because it's kind of turned this character into having this metagame of like putting an ink token on your opponent's entrance so that like if they use any effect except their entrant first, you can just chain and tap the entrance so they can't use its effect anymore. There's also offensive versions of this card where you attack with a brush and then you untap it so you can attack with it again. So yeah, this is one of the resource burning ones. And then this is the draw 2 one that ends your turn.
So sheathing Respite. And this one... So it says you may remove 3 inks from one zone to draw 2 cards and end your turn. Yeah, you nerfed that.
Yeah. No more of that.
This card
drawing
so
all
broken.
Your cards.
Yes.
Oh my god. I will say also the calligraphy on this card was done by my mom. That's her signature. Oh,
that's dope as shit.
That is cool.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
And it's all historically accurate to a different era.
And your mom is what?
She's like a calligraphy teacher. She teaches calligraphy. She's Asian. I don't know. She's from Taiwan.
Wow.
That is so sick. So you got her to do the calligraphy on the art. Man, that is cool.
And every deck has its own card back, which is one of the things I yelled at my publisher for a little bit, because I don't think he could afford it, but he decided to do it anyways. And every single character, all 8 of them, have different card backs for their deck.
Dang. Oh my gosh.
So even if you don't sleeve them or you put them in clear sleeves, they will each have their own quote-unquote sleeve.
So I will say that is really, really cool that they'll have their own card back because it helps with the identity of the character. But I also understand why it's something you as the creator of it could be a little iffy on, because if down the line you decide to make a new character, you got to make sure you got to also, they need new card backs and things like that. So I do understand why that is something that's really cool. It adds to like the immersiveness of the game, but it is something that as the creator, it's like, God, this is going to cost money long run.
Yeah, no, I was literally just like, listen, like it's not my money that you're spending, but this is not super important. Like, I don't know why you're doing this. But he was like, nah, it's cool. I was like, you're right, it's cool. I'm not gonna. I want it. Like, I'm not gonna say I don't like it.
Yeah.
What am I looking at here? What is this? Is it a card?
That's the summon. So those are the 2 effects for summon.
So like when you like in your kit, I guess when you're like, I'm playing the calligrapher, you get, these are your summons, like a little stack of them.
Yeah. It's basically an extra deck. You have 4 of these. Each of them once per turn can either move to an adjacent zone, or if it has an ink token on it, it can deal 1 damage to a targeted zone.
Okay, so yeah.
So the grid, the 5x6 grid or 6x5 grid, the size of each square is the size of a playing card.
No. So there's standees. There's like these little like.
So you have
here. I think I have a picture of it. I can put up. Because we just got our prototypes in recently. Our first prototype. But basically, like instead of there's no cards ever on the board. That's like something the what's it called? The publisher has stood by. Is that he doesn't want there to be cards on the board. There is in the board game community like a stigma against card games, which is part of why I try not to call it a card game, and we try not to put cards on the board.
I mean, it's definitely a board game.
Well, I'm gonna scroll up a little bit in our chat to see if I can find a picture of the standees we're talking about, but I just posted. Oh, there it is. Here's a picture of him testing with someone.
Okay.
You know what?
I'm gonna open this in OBS so that way we can see it there.
This looks cool.
Here it is. No, here it is. Okay, there. That's that picture just now. So you can see they're like standees on the board. They're the tokens scattered around the board. Those two are the fish. I posted another picture that has the actual.
Okay, for the calligrapher one.
Talking about the calligraphers
All right,
there.
give me a second. So let me. Yeah, this is dope. And like I said, I had a lot of fun. I only played one game, and I fucking had like the time of my life.
I've been playing Triangle Strategy a shit ton that just came out.
Oh, I saw that one.
I love that game. I play Advanced Wars, Triangle Strategy, Disgaea, Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Ogre. So like I love strategy games. So you describing this game is something I very much sound interested in. And so I just pulled up a picture. So if you're listening to this, you can't see the picture, but if you see the video, this is a picture that Chris just sent us. And you can see the board, you can see all the tokens and the standees on the board and the cards in hand. And the one guy's holding a card, and it looked like he was flipping the bird, but he's not. He's just holding the card.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. He really does look like that. That's crazy.
But no, this game looks really fun. I like all the little assets, and I actually really like the. I guess they'd be the standees, essentially pieces of cardboard and the plastic thing. I like those a lot. And then so you can have a lot of character with them. Like the water dancer can have like a little water fish, and the ink brush girl has like a little ink monster or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I see like a fire elemental in there.
Yeah. Oh no, that's just there's 3 colors of fish. There's like a goldfish and a purple fish, I think is the third one. I don't think I have those assets actually yet because those are recent.
Okay, yeah, and it looks like the mat you guys are playing on that's like a mat, like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Match of the Gathering type mat.
Yeah, I actually just commissioned my friend Mark to make me a mat and bought 25 of them, so I'll have those sitting around. We were going to include rubber mats in the box. There will be rubber mats in the box. First off,
so what's a rubber mat exactly?
Like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Style mat. It'll be like 28 by 14, and
like the mouse pad type. Feeling?
Yeah, like the mouse pad type of mat. Yeah.
So wait, so like a mouse pad type of mat is going to come with the game?
Yeah, it's going to come with the game.
Holy shit! Usually it's just like a paper mat.
Right?
Nah, man. No, never. Well, if anything with a board game, it'll be a hard cardboard mat, right? But no, we're going rubber. We're doing rubber mats.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're allowed to talk about this, and if you're not allowed to talk about it, then we can skip over it. Are you allowed to talk about the price point, the entry point of this?
I don't even know. I don't think we even know, to be completely honest. And it's one of those things where it's like, it feels like we should know by now, but we don't. There's like we haven't announced anything, right? Because we haven't announced anything, we have a lot of leeway with it just being like, we can just do this later. And we're still trying to work out kinks in the production. This is a prototype that we had to rush out. And immediately playing it there, we found actually a ton of issues that we're trying to figure out right now. That are all not with the game itself, but with like, sometimes the standee is kind of hard to see a token behind it. Little stuff like that.
That makes sense.
So we're trying to get through all those little things before we move on.
So I'm guessing you guys rust out this prototype for like a board game convention or something.
Yeah, in Atlanta. That it's the one I met him at actually 3 years ago. But I couldn't go this time. But we'll be at PAX East. If anyone's at PAX East in 2 weeks, we'll have a booth there. I'll be there on Friday.
Cool. Where's it at? Where's PAX East?
In Boston.
Okay.
Now so you've been to a couple board game conventions. Is there any video of people playing this game on YouTube or not?
No, not yet. And a big part of that is that we haven't finalized a single component. Like we haven't said for sure this is what it'll look like.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for that before I make a video and put it up.
Yep.
Because I made one in the past with old components, but at this point, like it's so different that it's just like, well, what's the point of even showing people
that makes
something
sense.
That's like this?
You
won't even recognize. Yeah, you won't even recognize some of the stuff. Yep. So yeah, we'll get there. But no, this is a pretty early look. I kind of just told Fraser like, hey, we're starting to think about going out public, right? So I want to talk about it if I could.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm glad you guys like it. I'm glad you guys like what you're seeing.
I like a lot. I like the concept of it. I like board games. I really like strategy games. So the idea that you have the strategy games is cool. I like the idea of targeting zones. Like, targeting zones and then you can do something to kind of dodge out of the way. Like, I think that sounds really cool. And I do like the card, like some of the card aspect and the way the game looks, the assets all look nice. And I do really appreciate the idea of it coming with like a mouse pad style mat or a rubber mat, as you called it. I never even heard it referred to that, but if that's what it's officially called, I'll keep that in mind.
I don't know what I just call it something different every time too.
But yeah, that like mouse pad style mat or like Yugioh mat, as I sometimes call it. The fact that you're committing to that being part of like the product, like coming in the box, I think is very cool because they're very easy to store. They're easier to like clean up, and they're just nice. I like them a lot more than obviously a paper mat, and I do like them more than just like a hard like plastic or board mat.
Yeah, no, everyone on the team has played a TCG at some point. We really like rubber mats, and we, there's the thing about how like because it's a 6x5, each half of it has a 3x5 grid on it, which is like it's right for Yu-Gi-Oh, it's right for Pokemon, it's right for Magic, it's like right for everything. So it's just nice to. I'm gonna be using a React mat at locals and in tournaments and stuff.
That's
try to get some free advertising. Yeah,
that's what's up.
So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait for this to come out. I want to play it. Like, I'm gonna be honest.
Same. So
how is it being?
God, I want people to play it.
You're doing a Kickstarter. I don't know if you said it already. Are you doing a Kickstarter?
Yeah, it's a Kickstarter. It's a Kickstarter planned for June.
Okay, so we don't have. Okay, well, as soon as you get the Kickstarter link and everything, let me know. I'll post it on IMNerd page, like the Facebook page that we have. That type of thing, and then I'll probably just repost this episode of the podcast for that time too, right? So when you're a little closer to actually going live or however you want to call it.
Yeah, I also, in addition to the IMNerd podcast, I do a stream on Critical Hit Plus, and I have a lot of people over there that like games like this as well. So I'll talk about it there. I'll definitely talk about this game with a lot of people because I think it looks really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Something like this is something I get excited about, like especially the strategy grid-based aspect. So
hopefully we get to host tournaments for it also.
And
cool. Also, I have already decided I personally somehow will give everyone that has tested this game before it was anything a free copy. So Fraser's getting one at least.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're getting one.
Right. I'm going to be playing it because I mean, like I said, this is the type of game that we will play at my dining room table.
Yeah.
And it would just be really fun. Okay, so that's really good. Let me pivot real quick. I just want to give a shout out to our patrons over at Patreon. So we have 30 of you guys now, which is just insane to me that there are 30 people on our Patreon currently, and we love you. So as always, we give you guys a shout out. Connie, Austin, Leon, Quest, Garen, Eileen, TCG Automotive, Silver Chronic, Tyree Tinsley, Dimitri Barnes, Alexander Brissett, Vinny Casello, Game Freak Yoshi, Alex Flamer, Gabe Marini, Henri Reynolds, CJ, WK-1, Saul at Dabber's Gaming Cafe, Dan Vrabel, Dennis Milburn, Joseph Marcello, Scott Page, Red Vines, First to Home, Dalis Fernaris, I think that's how I'm saying it, Tom Watabiki, S. Akuma, Mitchell Nouse, and this last one, I struggled with this the last time. I'm probably going to struggle with it a little bit more, but I think it's like Eport or Narson. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to the IMNerd Patreon. For those who don't know, we have exclusive content that only drops on the Patreon. We also have video versions of the podcast on our Patreon, as well as other perks. So you can check that out if you go on Patreon and look up IMNerd Podcast. We should pop up. We have 4 different tiers. There are 3 main ones and 1 optional boss, but the main 3 tiers, check those out. You can also get access to our IMNerd Podcast Discord server by actually subscribing to any tier on the Patreon. So, if you guys want to support, help us out. We really appreciate it. It goes a long way. We're still less than a year old. Our 1-year anniversary is coming up July 15th. Is the first day we ever published an episode. So again, thank you guys so much for the people who are actually on our Patreon, and also just everyone who likes this podcast, who listens to it, who talks about it. If you just send links to your friends and tell them that they should listen to it, we appreciate that too. A lot of people tell me all the time that they share this with their coworkers or their friends or people who like certain topics, like certain anime that we might cover or certain, Marvel movies or other nerd related things that we might cover. They share it with them. So we really appreciate all of that. Word of mouth does go a long way. Sharing it, liking it, whatever you do, we really appreciate all of that.
Hell yeah. It is.
I heard some names too.
Yes,
Vinny Casello. I heard Flamer's name. I haven't heard Alex Flamer's in 5-6 years.
Yeah, well, he actually showed up to AU like 3 weeks ago, and he won the tournament.
What the heck?
He played Edison format.
He's a man now.
He played Edison format. Sean McCabe gave him his Flamvel deck, I'm pretty sure. First of all, he starts the day off by packing an Ulti Zeus. So just immediately, so immediately he was the only person in the tournament who packed a real card. So he started off getting $100 card immediately. So we were already like, oh well, you won a tournament, so you don't even have to do well today. You could just that could just be it. But no, he then goes and scrapes everybody with Flambo, including McCabe, who gave him the deck. Because of history of losing to his own decks, right? So he scrapes McCabe and then proceeds to top 4, and it was actually really cool. So yeah, shout out to Flamer. Flamer has been a staple of the Philadelphia Yu-Gi-Oh community for years, and although he doesn't currently play anymore, seeing him come back just for one tournament of Edison was nice. It was nice.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Before we get out of here, once again, if you want to shout out your publisher and your artist.
Oh, right. Team. Yeah. The artist is Wicked Alucard on Twitter and Instagram. Actually, maybe just Instagram. I don't know what his Twitter handle is. The publisher is Brother Ming Games. If you want to sign up for a mailing list, it's brotherminggames.com/react. I'll just put that link in the Discord also.
React with a semicolon, right? Semicolon?
Oh, no, not in the URL. You can't do that in the URL.
Yeah.
Apparently. Unfortunate.
So it's just React the word.
Yeah.
In the URL.
And we also have a lot of the cards are actually by a different artist than Wicked Alucard. Wicked Alucard does like the character designs and some of the cards. There's another artist. The other artist is 017M on Twitter. And there's a game development guy that I test with. His name is Eric Zerang. And graphic design is somebody named Jules. They're Jules Riesling. Okay. So I can post all those links if you want them. That's the team.
Yeah. You could just put them in the Discord. I'll just put all of this in the description or however.
Yep.
Nice.
And yeah, they're all super cool. Brother Me Games is super cool.
Yeah. I guess when you do that, make sure you put like what each one is and then the link, right? So like publisher, then artist, and whatever, and then.
Yep. Actually, I'm just there's a dev diary on Board Game Geek. I'm just gonna link that right at the beginning of it. There's links.
Is very much better.
Yeah.
Right there.
Hell yeah.
And that's about it for that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's everyone.
We're at an hour and a half, so I think what we should do here, Chris, I actually enjoy talking to you a lot.
I enjoy talking to you guys a lot too.
There's a nice smooth flow with the conversation with you, and not even just the Yu-Gi-Oh part, like even with the React and everything. So what I want to do, because I already know if we start another topic, this is going to go way past the 2-hour mark. What we can do is we can just have you back and we can discuss Final Fantasy VII Remake, because we're going to do an episode of Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I want to have you back for that because you apparently love it as well. We might even have, for the first time ever, a fourth person, our friend Anthony, who's frequent at the podcast. He also loves Final Fantasy VII Remake. So we might do a fucking IMNerd orgy where we just have 4 people on talking about how much they circle jerk about Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I think that needs to happen. So if you are free later in April, I think that we're actually going to do that. Like, what do you think about that, Kenny?
Yeah, I'm down with it.
Yeah, because we've been saying the Final Fantasy VII Remake episode for a while, and it just hasn't happened somehow. But like, why the fuck not? It's time. So I think that you're one of the people who we can bring on because I have some things to say that I think you'll really resonate with. And I want to get a lot of different perspectives. So we will have you back on literally this month in April to do a Final Fantasy VII Remake episode. I can't wait. It was my favorite game during this entire Panini.
I have an infinite. I never want to stop talking about it. I want to hear everyone talk about it. I swear to God, I never played the original. So I guess I have that perspective.
Yeah, I remember you told me that. I was like, holy shit, you never played the original, because part of my enjoyment of the game is knowing what it used to look like, and then certain scenes. Just knowing what it used to look like.
You could put that game next to any game and it looks crazy.
That's the thing.
Any game.
Looks so fucking good.
God, it's unbelievable.
I can't wait. All right, so we're going to have you back, but thank you so much for stopping by the IMNerd Podcast. And you're going to be back soon. So you guys will be hearing from Chris, Lynn, real soon again.
Yeah. It's nice. Yep, nice meeting people listening. It's nice talking to you guys.
Yes, and we look forward to.
I had a lot of fun.
We look forward to React coming out. As I always say, guys, do the things that make you happy, including, creating your own board game / card game / whatever kind of game from scratch.
Yes, sir.
So, that's awesome. All right. Have a good one.
So long.